But let me tell you something. Black trans women are being killed in this country. And CNN, you have erased black trans women for the last time. Let me tell you something. Black trans women are dying. Our lives matter. I am an extraordinary black trans woman, and I deserve to be here. My black trans sisters that are here, I am tired. I am so tired. I'm just sitting there, and it's not just my black trans women, it's my black trans brothers too. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
Now, to all the same folks, we know that if you're born with a penis, you're a male. If you're born with a vagina, you're a female. Simple, right? Unfortunately, the trans women don't see it that way. In fact, they are now allowing trans women to compete against biological women. They're allowed to use bathrooms with biological women. And you're even likely to get canceled if you quote unquote misgender somebody. So what is this about? Why is there like this seemingly strong push to get everybody to get on board with the trans? And it's not about hating anybody. It's just like, why do we have to participate in these people's delusion? Because we know that there are only two genders, and we know what makes males males, and we know what makes females females. The trans community only makes up 0.5% of all adults in the United States of America. 0.5%, not even a whole percent. And there are a lot of things that come along with being a transgender person. You know, the mental health is an issue, suicidal thoughts, gender dysphoria, and we're going to get into all that.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
According to multiple credible surveys and several publishings from the National Institute of Health and even UCLA peer-reviewed studies, over 40% of transgender young adults have attempted suicide. There's actually a disparity between suicide attempts between trans women versus trans men. Trans women have a much higher suicide rate.
A new study found that half of transgender male adolescents have attempted suicide. It's an alarming statistic that is more than triple the attempted suicide rate among teens who are not transgender.
A new study found that transgender adolescents attempt suicide at a much higher rate than teens who are not part of the transgender community. 51% of transgender male adolescents reported at least one suicide attempt, with 30% of transgender female adolescents reporting the same. That's compared to only 8.6% of teens who do not identify as transgender who attempt suicide.
You meet enough trans people, you're going to hear a lot of stories that involve things like suicide attempts or depression or self-harm or anything like that.
And I don't care what the mainstream media tells us and what Hollywood tells us. We know the truth. They know the truth. And this is just reality. We're doing these young people a disservice. We're doing anybody a disservice by calling them something that they're not. I don't agree with calling biological males girls. I don't believe in calling biological females males. I believe in calling you what you are. Now, if you want me to call you by your new name, that's fine. I can do that. But why would I reaffirm you if you're telling me something that's not true? It just doesn't make sense, especially the children.
Jasmine, you're one of the youngest and first drag queen/kids. And I've heard...
And you just have to ask, why are they trying to encourage children to do this? People under the age of 18, period. I don't believe nobody should identify as a trans kid at all. It just doesn't make any sense. These kids aren't even halfway developed yet. People don't stop growing until they're between 18 and 25, depending on the person. It's scientifically proven.
Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's daughter couldn't help but be a little starstruck when meeting one of her idols. Zaya Wade fanned out over Michelle Obama this week when the pair teamed up for a virtual chat about the former First Lady's best-selling memoir, Becoming. And the teen admitted she was nervous to realize such a long-standing dream of hers was coming true.
Dwayne Wade ought to be ashamed of himself and any other parent who encourages their child to do this. This is evil. And he'll answer for it one day, one way or another. But let's move on.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
So as we're all aware, HIV/AIDS disproportionately affects gay/bisexual men. And when it comes to trans women are still biological men, as we all know. And many trans women are attracted to supposedly heterosexual males, but if you're a heterosexual male, you still won't sleep with the tranny because you will make sure that you're not sleeping with the tranny. But that's another conversation for another video. I'm just going to say that if a man is sleeping with a tranny, it's still technically two men sleeping together. And men that have sex with men, according to the CDC, have the highest rates of HIV infection. And they make up the vast majority of the new HIV cases in this country. These are just incontrovertible facts. And we also know that amongst trans women, not all, but a percentage of trans women are involved in promiscuous sexual lifestyles, and some are even users of hard drugs like heroin. And that gets to the point of needles. Sharing needles for drug use is another way to contract HIV. So you combine that with, men sleeping with each other, using drugs, having risky sexual behavior, it just creates a disaster. And as we all know, HIV/AIDS disproportionately affects black gay men. It also disproportionately affects Latino gay men. And that's something that we've known for a while. And encouraging that lifestyle is not going to make things any bit better at all. Now, I'm going to show this video clip from this YouTuber who goes by the name The Saint in the Center. He has some pretty dope content, so y'all go check him out. But he actually interviewed a Caucasian woman in her early 50s from California who's HIV positive. And she's on medication that makes the viral load so low that they can't detect HIV anymore. And while I'm on that subject, I just want to say that I know that they have great drugs out now. HIV/AIDS is not a death sentence anymore like it used to be. But I don't think any sane person wants to contract HIV. Yes, the drugs have gotten really good. You are basically undetectable as long as you stay on your meds. But who wants to have to take a medication for a disease that's preventable for the rest of their life? They even make a drug called PrEP to keep you from even contracting it if you live one of these risky lifestyles. But anyway, here's the clip.
Of how long you had the virus before then?
Well, when I got the phone call that I tested positive for the antibody, it took me about 20 minutes to go, I think I knew who this came from, because I had been with somebody who was high risk, and being that he was an ex-needle user for drugs. Okay. And I had through the grapevine after we had hung out that he had been with trans women in Los Angeles when he was high on meth. So I was like, okay, the year that I was diagnosed, I was one of 1,200. Remember, there's a million people in the US. I was one of just over 1,000 white women diagnosed with HIV. That's how uncommon it is for a woman to have. But I ran across a dude who was bisexual. And so this is the pattern that I see always, is that females who have HIV, and like I said, they only find me because I have a YouTube channel. Otherwise, I don't think I'd know any other woman who has HIV. They find out, and it's all in my DL highlight. Read what all these women have told me. They find out that their men were on the down low, their husbands. They find out when they're pregnant. That's how they found out they had HIV. They're married to these guys. Gay men admit to me all the time that DL men reach out to them. They got baby seats in the back, and they, this. Oh yeah. So,
excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
All right, to go ahead and wrap things up for this video, I just want to say that on the final segment, we know that there are lots of trans women who are attracted to men, and some of these men that they're attracted to are not attracted to them because they're not biological women. And I think it is absolutely imperative for the trans women to always be upfront as to what gender they were born. It's only fair, because you don't want these men to find out that you're not what they thought you were and get angry and do something crazy. There have been a lot of trans women that have been murdered over the years because some of the men found out that they weren't what they thought they were. And to be honest with you, I do believe that the majority of these men probably did know. They just felt ashamed of what they did. And sometimes they don't want to get outed, because some trans women will actually out the men and take photos of them while they're in the bed, sleep, and all kind of crazy stuff. And I'm just saying that's pretty dangerous, and it's really not worth risking your life over it.
Friends of a transgender woman who was shot and killed in Southwest Houston last weekend are seeking justice.
They have identified the victim as Paloma Vasquez.
Shahir Diamond Jackson McDonald is the latest trans black woman murdered in Philadelphia.
We are hearing from the family of a transgender woman killed Friday night.
And specifically black trans women of color, are dying at the hands of cis black men at alarming rates.
And that's why I say to the trans women community, give these men choice. This is not a hate video. This is just an informative, look into what's going on within your community and why some of the things are going the way they're going. But I'm gonna let Genuine close us out. He had a interesting exchange with a transgender woman on some show years ago. And this is just a prime example. All men do not want to date a biological male. They want to date a biological female. I myself identify as a heterosexual. I want a natural born woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are plenty of gay men and plenty of straight acting men, they're called DL brothers, that will date a trans woman. They don't care. But anyway, here we go.
And then I believe it's your choice too. Like I would choose not to. Like that doesn't make me but you would
scared. You would go out with another woman.
Would I go out with a woman?
You would go out with a woman.
Yes, of course.
But you wouldn't go out with a transsexual woman.
No.
The fact Genuine here, is happy to go with women, but he's not happy.
Every woman.
Yeah, but he's happy to go with women, but he's not happy to go. This isn't an attack on you. I'm just saying he wouldn't feel comfortable going with what is termed, he wouldn't feel comfortable going with me. If you're in my situation and you are trying to date, there is an extremely narrow band.
You're saying you're not
gay. And from my experience, I'm not gay, but I've tried to date. Talking about individually.
You mean as a trans person?
Anyone trans.
That's a preference.
That's what I know.
It's a preference.
Yeah, come on. See you guys.
It's the same thing.
Are you mad? Don't get mad.
You can't get mad. That's the same as him saying, listen, okay, I'm sorry, can I say something really quickly? I am 100% sure that we are living with a victim.
Right.
She's going to find every reason to walk away. If one of the white men in this house said, I'm not attracted to black women, do you think I'm going to roll on this ground and cry? Who fucking cares? You know how many people will date me? Have a seat. Why are you sensitive about that? If he doesn't want you, he doesn't want you.
So in conclusion, I think most people have their thoughts about it, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. You can have your opinion and still be respectful. My advice to the trans women and people in that community is just to be honest, be yourself. Don't ridicule people or call people names that don't agree with your lifestyle or agree with how you identify. And let's leave the children out of it. Let the children be children. I am gravely concerned for the children. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on with these kids, and this type of stuff doesn't make things any better. They're exposed to a lot of foolishness every day. So let the kids be kids. Y'all like the video on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share. Peace.